position for 9,000 times, I decided to leave Loyola and join Presidency College. But he was a good teacher. I remember his name, Mr. Matthews. He was a good teacher, but somehow I had committed a lapse, and I think I deserved the punishment. All of us are also from the Madras Law College. It was only college at that time. It attracted the best and the worst. Those who wanted to pursue a career in law had no choice but to join the Madras Law College. Those who failed to get admission in any college in Tamil Nadu also joined the law college. It was a time when there were 70 or 80 people in a class, and after the attendance was taken, there will be only 10 of us to listen to the lecture. Things have changed. Today, law is a very coveted profession, a very competitive profession. And among the law colleges, especially after the national law colleges have sprung up in Bengaluru, Kolkata, and elsewhere, it's a very, very competitive profession. It's good it's become a competitive profession. With no offense meant to anyone, there was a time when law was from father to son, from son to grandson. And it was a rather privileged class, mainly from one community in Tamil Nadu, and another community in Bombay, and another community in Kolkata. There were not many first-generation lawyers. And there were not many who became judges after being first-generation lawyers. Law has been democratized. There are many, many first-generation lawyers. I am one, but I must concede that I was assisted by the fact that I married a second-generation lawyer. But many others are first-generation lawyers. I know Bharat is a second-generation lawyer, so is the Honorable Judge, a second-generation lawyer. But there are many whom I know are first-generation lawyers and are doing very well. It's also become more inclusive. It has attracted people from all communities, all religions, all backgrounds, all levels of income and prosperity. That is how it should be. In fact, medicine became a more democratic profession before law became. And I'm very happy that law is now a democratic profession. But the problem remains with law that it, like the Madras Law College, it continues to attract the best. It also continues to attract the worst. Yesterday I saw a report which was quite shocking, that 20% of practicing lawyers on all the courts of India maybe do not have a law qualification. And the Chief Justice of India has ordered an inquiry into that. It's the equivalent of quackery in medicine. They probably get better orders from the courts than the qualified lawyers. But it's a shocking revelation. Law, like medicine, is considered one of the learned professions, along with teaching. It will be so, because as long as human life exists, on this planet, people will fall ill. And as long as human beings coexist, there will be litigation. My good friend, Dr. Vishwanathan, mentioned Pudukkavithai. It is not only in poetry, it is part of a judgment delivered by an English judge, where the plaintiff and defendant were litigating over several properties, and the concluding portion of the judgment says, I now decree that the property, the estate shall be divided in this proportion among the plaintiffs and in this proportion among the defendants, and the lawyers on both sides shall inherit the property. Therefore, as long as human life exists on this planet, there will be litigation. But it is up to us to rise up to the challenge. The challenges are numerous. I mean, neither you, any individual, nor I can solve them. It has to be a root and branch attack on the system. For example, the Chief Justice revealed a few days ago that if you file an appeal in the Allahabad High Court today, it will take 31 years to the first hearing of that appeal. There are something like 31,000 criminal appeals that are disposed of by the Allahabad High Court every year, and 1,73,000 criminal appeals are filed every year. So he calculated and said it will take 31 years before your appeal is heard in the Allahabad High Court. I'm not here to suggest that this assembly try to find solutions. All I'm saying is the challenges are severe. As far as the person who we celebrate today, we all know that he was a true disciple and mentored by Mr. T. Raghavan. Mr. Raghavan was a legend in his lifetime. I was telling Bharat that one day a client approached Mr. Fali Nariman, and in the course of conversation, he revealed that he knew Mr. Raghavan. So Mr. Nariman told me, why have you come to Delhi? You should have stopped with Mr. Raghavan's advice. Anyway, you've come here and you know Mr. Raghavan. I request you to go back to Madras and get his written opinion on that matter, which I will accept the case, and then I will argue on that basis. He was a legend in his lifetime, and I'm very happy that Mr. Mailsamy and his colleagues are carrying on the tradition and have founded a firm, A.K. Mailsamy Associates, and continuing in that tradition. Income tax is a very intricate and complicated branch of law. In one sense, when I first took up the income tax cases, I found it was simply applying rules of mathematics. There is no question of an interpretation in income tax. You take the word, you take the section and apply it, and if the solution is in favor of the assessee, so be it. If it's a solution in favor of the tax department, so be it. There was no equity, there was no social justice, there were no other factors influencing an income tax case. You take the section and apply it. But they forget that finance ministers can complicate life. They complicate it every year. In fact, you will find complications a few days from today, on February 1, the budget will be presented. Those complications make the Income Tax Act in India the most amended act. And it has remained the most amended act despite several attempts to introduce a direct taxes code. I'm happy to read that the government intends to introduce a new direct taxes code. But if it's the same as the Indian Penal Code, the fate that fell the Indian Penal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code, and the Indian Evidence Act, I'm afraid it won't be any different. The new laws which replace the Indian Penal Code, the Criminal Procedure Code, and the Indian Evidence Act are respectively 90 to 95% a cut and paste, 95 to 98% cut and paste, and 99% cut and paste. I have compared every section with the new section. It is absolutely true, and it can be demonstrated in a few minutes. If the new direct taxes code is a cut and paste, a copy and paste of the Income Tax Act, it will continue to have the same effect, and it will continue to multiply litigation. Of course, as lawyers, and A.K. Mailsamy and Associates should welcome more litigation, but it makes life difficult for the average citizen, the average businessman, the average trader. I hope that the income tax law is simplified, and I hope that income tax practitioners like A.K. Mailsamy and Associates will contribute to the simplification of the Income Tax Act. After all, the state is only interested in extracting revenue, but it can be done in several ways. It can be done by, like a bee which extracts honey from a flower. It can also be done with a sledgehammer. Most victims of income tax and a similar law, GST, complain that the law is a sledgehammer. It threatens the assessee, it intimidates the assessee, and it virtually blackmails the assessee to pay up, failing which he will face litigation for many, many years. That is not a happy outcome. That is not a happy result in a developing country. In fact, many companies I know spend a lot of time addressing the litigation from tax laws rather than spending their time and energy on producing more goods and services. There are many, many issues. So at his age, 83 plus, Mr. Mailsamy, I'm not suggesting that he take a back seat. Should he decide to take a back seat and allow the next generation to take over the firm, I would urge him to speak and write on his experiences and how the laws can be simplified. In fact, the best contribution of a successful lawyer is to write and speak on how the law can be simplified and the law be made a friend of the citizen rather than a threat to the citizen. I'm very happy that A.K. Mailsamy and Associates is stepping into its 60th year. I wish them many, many more years of service. If the daughter, and she told me that the granddaughter is also intending to pursue law, it will continue from generation to generation. And I wish all the Mailsamis, the forthcoming generations of Mailsamis, the very best, and all those associates and partners of A.K. Mailsami and Associates, the very best in their profession. May you live long, may you live up to 100, may you have a healthy life and happiness and peace. I wish A.K. Mailsami and Associates the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, Lordship. And we would invite you to come and deliver the...
I wanted to call you before because I wanted to know which red dress you would come in. So I was quite surprised that he has come in the traditional dhoti, and you would have been surprised by my different dress. I will start my speech, rather I would prefer to start my speech in Tamil, not only for the reason that I'm our own people, but also for the reason that when it comes to law, justice and virtue, there cannot be any other language than Tamil. Therefore, allow me to speak in my own native language. இந்த விழாவின் நாயகர் திரு மயில்சாமி அவர்களே, அவருடைய சாதனைக்கு பக்கபலமாகவும் துணையாகவும் இன்று வரை தனது பணியை செவ்வனே செய்து கொண்டிருக்கின்ற திருமதி மயில்சாமி வைஜெயந்தி அவர்களே,